Darius Hoggins, and this is Coach Winbush. He's a former athletic director at Crockett High School in Austin, Texas. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, how often is the budget revised, and what type of input does the budget manager collect from the department head coaches within the organization?
Well, a lot of times the budget is revised annually, but it's also monitored monthly. There are a couple of factors that come into play: staffing needs, facility needs, equipment, uniforms, etc. Marketing, for recruiting and things like that. Um, you can kind of skews for inflation. High school's a little different than college, but um, recruiting needs or fundraising. We also have fundraising in high school, but it's a little different as far as donors or alumni situations in college, and any knowledge of those changes as far as like fundraising will kind of skew, what the needs would be. But for the most part, it definitely comes down to what the kids need, but staffing needs, people working for you, facilities, uniforms, equipment. College is a competitive market, so you've got to stay in the forefront of uniforms and equipment and gear, things like that. And also another difference that just comes to the top of my head from high school to college is, you have these, contracts, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour. It's not like that so much in, high school. So that comes out of that budget, opposed to where you may have a contract and, it really doesn't come out and you get all the equipment you need. But mostly, monthly, those things are monitored just in case there's something just goes crazy, but mostly annually that thing is overlooked, and a lot of time annual meetings, and with those certain persons or managers that need to be in that meeting.
All right. Ultimately, who in the organization must be accountable for the budgeting process?
Ultimately, athletic director. Collectively, different managers, but ultimately, the athletic director needs to be held accountable. The athletic director, I think, is held accountable to student affairs. Student affairs is held accountable to the provost's office. But ultimately, the AD is the guy that needs to be aware of everything that's going on. Now, he can hold different account managers accountable or responsible for different sections and different needs of what's coming out of the budget in what section. I mean, you can break it down to, hey, equipment. Okay, we got an equipment guy, or it may be from athletic director to, okay, let's talk about football specifically. Okay, so say football equipment manager, he's got a title. He needs to be held accountable. He's keeping a running tally of what's going out, what's coming in, what we're getting, what we need. Okay, so twice a month, once a month, whatever, we may hold a meeting of all those account managers and get a report there. But ultimately, they're going to report to athletic director, but he's held accountable ultimately.
Okay. How are the budget figures derived from year to year, sport to sport, or season to season?
Well, basically, I think you would look at historical expenditures. Kind of, keep a running record. You're going to look back, where's 2015, 14, 13, 12, 11, and so on, just to kind of get a general idea of what those expenditures may be from sport to sport. And I think overall, you can generalize kind of the same needs. You'll get historical figures. Okay, you're going to play non-conference games. You're going to play conference games. You kind of know where those locations are. You kind of have a number of how many athletes are on your team. So you kind of have those numbers historically and kind of get an idea. Now, they may increase or decrease depending on team size. Use an example, like let's say you're playing in Hawaii. Okay, that's in the States, but it's not connected to our state, so that's going to be a little more expensive. You have to account for those things. You can also think about if the team or alumni for a specific sport or just to the program in general may give donations or fundraising, again, comes into play. So that may be additional revenue that maybe wasn't accounted for that may give you more room. Ultimately, you would have to probably see from your account managers, and like say we talked about in question, the first question or the third question, I can't remember, about who's accountable for what in different departments. So that it all comes full circle. Equipment, jerseys coming in, travel needs, that may be your operations guy, hotel stay, all those things come into play. you have to have all that locked in, and have those monies ready, because you can't just say all of a sudden, oh, we want to do this. Well, that wasn't accounted for. That wasn't discussed.
Okay.
That wasn't put in the budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think, overall, you can generalize from football, basketball, volleyball, softball, whatever. You have travel that includes, scheduling, equipment, jerseys, we're in a new facility right now. That may play a part in that. But overall, I think, how your figures are derived is you have a foundation of what's happened historically in your athletic program, and you build from there. Now, those things may fluctuate, like I said, depending on certain needs.
Mm-hmm.
It may fluctuate depending on donors or alumni donations or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
You might not get them, and then that may also play part in as well. So overall, like I say, again, meet with those people that are accountable for certain departments or areas within the athletic department, athletic director, and it just comes full circle.
All right. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. Hope I helped out a little bit.